What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bitcoin Daily. Today in this video we're talking about the big Bitcoin dump off. Everybody's been asking about it. We got the answers for you. We're going to tell you which levels we're watching next and where we think it could go over the weekend. We're also talking about some trade setups for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some other coins that we're watching to hopefully make some profits this weekend like we did last weekend. So stay tuned, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment, and let's jump in. All right, guys, so let's jump right into it. As you can see here, we are looking at the weekly. So each candle here represents 1 week. And I just wanted to give you guys to do a top-down analysis here on exactly where we're currently at and how we've got here, right? Over the last few months, basically. So the bottom of this Fibonacci retracement tool that we're using, you guys can see is at that March lows, that 44.15 area. That was basically the March lows, right? The 4,000 price area. And you see how we came all this way since March, which is pretty crazy, right? You'll see how the price respected every single Fibonacci level there. If you just kind of look over it, you'll see there at the 78.6% Fibonacci level, we had, it kind of had a little bit trouble getting through. But then once we broke through it, we shot straight up to the very next Fibonacci level, the 618. And then we struggled there for a while, right? So we were at that level from May till about July, August is when we finally broke through there. And then we went right up to that very next level, the 50% level, which was around that 12,000 range. And we were there between these two levels for a while, right? As you guys can see right here. And it looks like we were there from July till about what's this over here, October, right? So in October, let me see, actually we didn't break through till about mid to the end of October. Finally broke through, went straight to the next Fibonacci level, broke through that, and went all the way till where we're basically the previous all-time high, right? So we didn't quite get to the all-time high, but we got very close. As you can see, the high here is 19,546. And then the low is 16,220. So this is the current week that we're in right now. So you can see that we went up to that Fibonacci level, and then we came back down to the 23.6 range to test that on a pullback. And it's so far we have gotten a bounce out of there. We didn't even get to touch it, right? So that Fibonacci level is around that 16,000 range. And then the next Fibonacci level is around that 14,000 range. So if we continue to break down, those are the two supports that I'm looking for a bounce. So that first one is 16,000. As you guys can see, it's currently where we're at right now. We're at 16,800. But we got pretty damn close to it. The low is 16,220. So we got very close to it. We didn't go all the way down to it, but we did get a bounce from there. If we were to break down through this Fibonacci level, then the next level that we're looking at is 14,000 as the main level. 15,000 could definitely play a support as well, though. But the bigger support would probably be that 14,000 range, right? So those are the two levels I'm looking at for support. And obviously the resistance is still only really that all-time high, plus all the whole numbers, psychological resistance, right? So 17,000 and 18,000 and 19,000 are all going to be small resistances on the way back up as they were previously. But that's pretty much what we're looking at here. So let's zoom in to the time frame. We're currently in the weekly. Let's go into the daily and see what it looks like, right? So we get a better view on what's been going on the day-to-day. And you guys can see this run up, pretty much bull flag after bull flag, and pennant after pennant, right? So finally here, we did get this breakdown, which it was a pullback that we kind of needed. We hadn't had a pullback at all over the last few weeks, really. We had just been shooting up, right? So here you guys can see that we got this pullback, and it's all part of a healthy market. So we got the pullback almost back down to that Fibonacci retracement level, and now we're getting that bounce back up. So now we're just kind of waiting, and because we're just taking that wait and see approach to see where are we going next, right? So we're watching those main levels as support that we spoke about already, and then obviously the resistance is going to be that 17, 18, 19. Now, what am I looking for to enter a trade? So I need to see momentum going back up, right? That's one of the main things that I'm currently looking for, and there hasn't been any of yet. Momentum up. So that's kind of, I'm still waiting on that. And I'll give you some price levels here for entries, in a second. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. I haven't seen any momentum up yet. You can see in the RSI, it's still pointing down, right? Momentum's still kind of pointing down a bit. And that's the other thing. The RSI and the price action for the last few weeks have not been on the same page, right? And we mentioned that, about a week ago, we told you guys that the RSI, that there was a bearish divergence on the RSI, and that it was signaling a pullback. So as you can see here, the RSI was trending down while the price was trending up. So as we've spoken about before, that was a bearish divergence where the price action continues to go up while the momentum is going down. So it doesn't agree with each other. So because it doesn't agree with each other, that's a signal that a change is coming. Now, when it starts popping up, it doesn't mean it's gonna happen right away. As you guys can see, it's been popping up for a while, right? So if you look back to the beginning of the month, it was already kind of there. If we look at this, the beginning of the month, we had that same type of divergence there, right? But the price kept going up, kept going up, kept going up. Finally, we got the drop though. So now it's a matter of the RSI and the price getting back in sync. So if we kind of just zoom into the current price action plus the current RSI, we'll see that they're more or less back in sync right now. You see the move down, the price action was going down, RSI going down, and it went into the oversold territory. Then we had a bounce up, RSI went up. Then we had a kind of like a slowed down movement, and you see the same thing in RSI, and then a little bounce up, you see the same thing in the RSI. So what does that tell us now? That the RSI and price are back in agreement, right? So there's no longer divergence because of this move. It seems like the price and the RSI are back in agreement. So as long as they continue to be in agreement, we may see a bounce back up. But if for any reason the RSI and price action remain you know, in disagreement, then we might see that's what would signal for the price to continue going down. All right, so that's what we're looking at right now. That's what we continue to look at, and that's what we're currently watching. So and that's what caused the big drop. So everybody was asking, what caused the big drop? Why did Bitcoin drop so much? What's going on? Is a trend over? Are we going back to 3,000 or 4,000? They're asking all these questions, but the reality of the situation, we had the drop due to the RSI bearish divergence, right? And now we're working. We needed that pullback to get back in agreement with the price and continue to move back up. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. That's pretty much the main reason that caused this price drop. And it's also, and we talked about this last week, guys. We pointed this out last week. We told you guys there was a bearish divergence on the chart. And we've made videos on how to trade and how to react when there's a bearish divergence on the chart. Now, what is popping up now because of the dropping consolidation is a bearish flag. So that's one thing we have to keep in mind. And we're not looking to enter anything here until we see some sort of momentum or a bounce or something, right? So we're just gonna play this very conservatively. And if we're looking for an entry here in Bitcoin currently, we're probably going to be looking back here, right? So back here, we see that there was some support here around 17,600, it looks like, right? So coming up over here, we see there's resistance here around 17,200. So there's a couple different entries, a couple different trade setups you can look to take here. So the first one, it would be a break of 17,200. Now the issue with this level, there's a lot of consolidation here, as you guys can see. So 1, 2, 3 fake outs, right? To play it safer, you can look to enter maybe at 17,300, above that range. Now there's still been 2 fake outs there. So the next level would be 17,400, where there's only really been 1 fake out. And the probably safest range would be 17,500. So for me right now, I'm probably looking at the 17,500 range. Above that, then I'll be looking to enter into a trade for sure. The levels below, I still don't know. So they are levels to possibly enter in, but we have to see what happens. You know, have to see where the consolidation is going and all of that, right? So that's the reason why I'm not entering at 17,000, because there's just so much consolidation in this range that you're more than likely gonna get stopped out there. So I'm avoiding 17,000 for now. I would look at the range lows for possible entries. So if I'm looking for a support entry, I'm honestly looking at 16,000 would be the ideal area for me to enter. Obviously, you know how I like to enter. I like to enter on a bounce, not on a drop. So I'd be looking for a test underneath 16,000 and then a bounce back up and over it. That would be the support entry I'm looking for. So those are the entries I'm looking at in Bitcoin right now. Other than that, I'm pretty much not really touching anything in Bitcoin. I don't like any of the other levels. Maybe 16,500 would be maybe the next closest thing. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin, guys. let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other trade setups for this weekend. All right, guys. So next thing we're watching here is Ethereum. And as always, I'm not really doing any type of full market analysis on these other coins because all of these coins follow Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the only one to really get in with and do a full analysis with. Every other coin is going to follow Bitcoin regardless. So their technical analysis does not matter. And more than likely, it's going to look exactly like Bitcoin's either way, since it follows Bitcoin. So that brings us to Ethereum. As you can see, this blue line here, that marks a very significant support there. So that's right on that 500 range. I'm not taking any entries at 500. There's just so much going on here. You could grab some profits, but it has to be scalps. There's just so much going on that you can stop out very easily and lose money very easily on a trade like that. So the entries I'm currently looking for is probably 480. So 480 would be a level I'm looking at. That 500 level, it is a place you can buy, but there's a lot of risk involved. So that next level will probably be 520 and 530. So for breakout entries, I'm looking at the entries are going to be 500, 520, 530. Now, the closer to 500 you are, the higher the risk, because that's where the consolidation is. 520 is a little bit less risky, but there's been fake outs, as you guys can see. And then above 530, and I would do it above whatever this high right here is, you would be entering that trading momentum. So that's a good area to enter that. So those are the entries I'm looking at in Ethereum. Let's go ahead and check the next one. I don't know what just happened there. Bitcoin Cash, as you can see, looks exactly like Ethereum and Bitcoin. Had a very, very nice run this week, as you guys can see. Ran all the way to 370, right? So what we're looking at here, we want entries above 280 for breakout entry, and on a pullback, probably looking at entries around that 250 range. Or actually came back to our previous entries back here. Remember these? So that's another entry you can probably look to use, which is at 260 range, I think. 250 something. Yeah, so it's at 256, 257 range. So that's another entry you could look at, but the main entries we're looking at is 280 and 250 for breakout or pullback. Let's jump over to Litecoin. As you guys can see, Litecoin again looks exactly the same. This one ran up to 92, almost about 93-ish, almost 94. And now with this pullback, we've come back down to 68. So entries that I'm looking at in Litecoin here would be probably above the 7250 range, even 7350. So ideally above 7350 is where I'm looking at breakout entries here. And then on the pullbacks, I'm probably looking at the $65 range. So those are the two entries I'd be watching here to possibly wanna take, right? Next is XRP. So XRP had one hell of a run, and even though it did get a as you guys can see, look, where did this go? Look at this. 92 cents. That's insane on that one candle. But you guys can see it ran up to 75 cents, right? That was an insane rally by XRP. And if you guys watched our videos last week, we told you guys to enter around 30 cents. So that was over 100% profits there. But here, what we're watching here is basically entries above that 50. Let me see. Probably above. Let me zoom into this. Above that 55-cent range. But it has to be above that previous candle right there. So I'm probably looking at 56. I'd be looking at that 56 range, right? 56 cents range for breakout entry. But you have to be careful because look at all these fake outs here. So just keep your stop losses tight. And for pullback entries, I'm probably looking at that 50-cent range for a pullback. I would like to see just the same way it happened here, just kind of a bounce and up and over, right? So kind of a drop and then a bounce up and over. But I didn't want to take it because I kind of want to let the dust settle a little bit before I enter any trades. But that is a possible entry right there on XRP. All right, what is next? Chainlink. We see Chainlink had a nice run. Ran up to what? 1642. That's crazy, right? So we had to run to 1632 and we had to drop back down to that $11 range. It's currently at 1233. So I'm looking probably above. My breakout entries would be above $13. Pullback entries at $12. So 12 and 13. So playing that whole dollar range, right? Next is Tezos. Tezos actually had some nice movement as well. As you guys can see, it ran all the way up to almost to $3. Remember we told you guys to enter at 2. It went all the way back to that 220 range that we spoke about on Monday, I believe. So we're gonna use that same range for entry. We want to see kind of dip under like this and then a bounce back over. That 220 range is would be the pullback entry right there. And then the entry, the breakout entry would probably be above 240. That is for Tezos. Neo is the last one we're gonna look at. Same patterns here. Basically looking at the same thing. It ran all the way up to that 22, almost $22 range. Wow, right? We told you guys to enter above 16, remember? So that was one hell of an entry. Here we're gonna be looking at a pullback entry of about $16 probably. That's ideally where we'd want to enter on a support entry. And for a breakout, we're gonna wait for something above $18. So that's what we're looking at for entries there. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think we've covered everything that we wanted to cover, wanted to touch on as far as trade setups and what we think is going on with Bitcoin over the weekend. Alrighty, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys are going to be able to make some profits off these trade setups that we just spoke about. And that's pretty much it. We just got to be patient in times like this where we got to kind of just sit on our hands and not force any trades that aren't there. Question of the day is, what are the entries that we're looking for? What are the two supports, the main supports that we're looking for in Bitcoin? Just drop your answer in the comments and then hit that like button. Once we get to 20, it will trigger the giveaway. So that's pretty much it, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. As always, peace and love.